Hello, golfers. Today's post is a scientific analysis of a tour player's golf swing, specifically the swing of Cameron Smith. The reason for this particular golfer being used for the analysis is simply because one Facebook follower asked for it because he said he has a similar size and build to that of Cameron Smith. Typically, a golf swing has been analyzed by showing viewers or readers a swing sequence with suggestions of a few good things that an average golfer can copy from the setup and swing of the pro. That approach is not truly scientific because it does not give a picture of each body part throughout the entire swing. For instance, a typical analysis may tell a golfer to swing wide during the takeaway but then show a narrow top of backswing position. How would a golfer get from one point to another? Today's analysis will be different because it will contain only scientifically proven facts. While Smith is an athletic young professional and can play well using a variety of positions and movements, most amateurs would do well to understand which of those movements they should not emulate and why. Starting with the setup for his driver or fairway wood, Smith, like most golfers, has his spine bent forward at a considerable angle and his ball position well forward of center. There is no science to prove the advantages of these two positions. A forward bend has come down to us through tradition and been used for centuries, but not for any scientifically sound reason. I'm sure neither Mary, Queen of Scots, nor old Tom Morris thought about the science of bending forwards, they just did it to get comfortable with a short club. In fact, an as upright as possible spine can reduce the load on it, allowing many golfers to practice and play with less low back pain. Also, a ball position closer to the lead foot will, for most golfers, bring the trail shoulder forwards at address, which might promote the dreaded slice. During his takeaway, Smith moves his club shaft outside or closer to the target line than his hands and also makes a very wide movement away from the body with both arms. As a result of this, there will be no spatial coordination of his arms and his torso, which will continue to the top at a different pace from one another and will have to somehow sync up during the downswing. Also, in his backswing, he remains wide with both arms until his lead arm is horizontal, but by the top, his trail elbow and both wrists are bent. At what stage should a golfer bend these joints and how much? This sudden flop, as one might call it, of the trail elbow and the hands serves to narrow the position of the trail elbow at the top. So, why did he take a wide takeaway in the first place? Have a look at Bryson attempting to have a wide takeaway, then bending just his elbow, and finally, rather tentatively, his wrists. How can golfers coordinate these bending tasks at speed and when should they happen? I have studied width of both arms in a research project in 1993 and found that golfers were extremely awkward about elbow and wrist bend after a super wide takeaway. Next, while the arms are going from wide to narrow during the backswing, what are the torso and the legs supposed to do? When should the golfer focus on that during the backswing? By the top of the backswing, Smith has dropped his lead shoulder, hip, and knee down closer to the ground while raising his trail shoulder and hip and straightening his trail knee. He has also straightened out or extended his spine so that his chest has risen slightly and no longer faces the ground. So, how many joints does Smith need to unbend and untwist during the downswing? He must straighten the bent trail elbow and both wrists and at the same time rotate his pelvis and then his shoulders for a good kinematic sequence. Now, pelvic rotation can only happen efficiently when the hips are level. Probably for that reason, his central nervous system has him make a slight natural squat in his early downswing so that his hips and knees can level out. At the same time, his extended spine flexes forward so that his chest might face down again, which would enable his trail shoulder blade to be properly positioned for his trail arm to drop down so that the club can reach the ball on the ground. While a golfer can to some extent control different aspects of body motion during the backswing, it is much more difficult to do that consistently during the mere 300 milliseconds or less that a downswing lasts. In the downswing, as Smith's trail side torso and legs drop down and the lead side lifts up, until both sides are level, the torso movement will influence what the arms do. What do I mean? As his torso and legs are beginning to level out, his trail elbow gets very close to his body and his wrists become very cocked so that overall his arms are very narrow by mid downswing. From such a narrow position, to allow the trail elbow to straighten so that the club can be delivered to the ground, a pro golfer will rapidly fire his trail side butt muscles, which will shift his weight towards target and also rotate his pelvis and thus his thorax open by impact. This rapid firing of the trail side gluteal muscles can result in the upper body leaning more to the trail side than the lower body, which in turn can affect where the club face faces at impact. Firing the trail side gluteal muscles quickly and forcefully to avoid an over the top downswing is something only highly skilled golfers can do, while less skilled golfers will often simply drop the trail shoulder forwards and down in order to somehow straighten the trail elbow. They need to have a position at the top from which the arms cannot help but deliver the club to the ball from an inside path without any excessive trail side butt muscle firing. And this is easiest when the trail side of the body remains lower than the lead side throughout the backswing. So, why do golfers make swings that constantly move their arms from wide to narrow to wide and their bodies from up and away from target to down and towards target? Why not position the body for its role in the downswing and then make a simple arms movement that automatically generates the correct swing plane and club positions without requiring any extra focus on them? Such simple movements would give any golfer greater consistency of both distance and direction. How liberating if every golfer could be consistent while not compromising on either ball speed or body injury risk.